Being part of the ISV Connect program helps our visibility with Microsoft sellers, which in turn helps us when we're introduced to new partners.
It has accelerated our entrance into new markets, and our product is developing with higher speed than it would otherwise have.
Things like ISV licensing, handling our licenses just like any Microsoft first-party applications. We see that as a big benefit.
What ISV Connect program introduced is very different level of confidence with our customer. And with the Microsoft expanding the program, we are expecting to grow our ISV portfolio significantly.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another installment of ISV Connect Live. My name is Brian Galicia. I lead our Dynamics 365 global ISV business here at Microsoft. It's an honor and pleasure to have another amazing ISV presented on the call today. Henry, the CEO and president of OneWorldSIS, is here with me. And it's going to be a really good dialogue because occasionally, as many of you have watched these shows in the past, or maybe you're coming across this for the first time, the intent of this is really to highlight our business applications or Dynamics 365 Power Platform ISV ecosystem. And OneWorldSIS is no different than many of other ISVs. However, the one big difference is they focus on the one specific industry for education, higher education, or just education in general. And we're going to go into a lot more details as I have this dialogue with Henry. But before I introduce Henry, let me do a quick intro of some of the just simple things that you can do to engage in the conversation. So we would love to hear where you're watching from. So if you just want to type in the LinkedIn window, maybe you're watching from the East Coast where Henry is doing the call, or you're watching from the West Coast, me from Seattle, or somewhere in between, or somewhere internationally. We'd love to have you comment where you're watching from, and we'll do a quick shout out to you during the event. The other is that if there's a question that you have that maybe sparks a specific question in the dialogue I have with Henry, don't hesitate to put that in the LinkedIn window and we can address that question in real time. And usually we have time at the end to go do that. And during the conversation, if you want to utilize one of the LinkedIn emojis, like, support, etc., during the dialogue, it gives Henry and I indication that the conversation and the information is actually resonating to everyone, either watching live or watching via the replay. So without further ado, gosh, thank you so much, Henry, for taking time out of your busy day on a Monday. It's hard to believe that in a few weeks we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. Also, happy Veterans Day. We didn't necessarily reference that last week, but of course, Veterans Day was last Friday. And that was celebrated all over the world, particularly in the US. So Henry, welcome to the call. Thanks for making the time.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you having us today. It's a pleasure to be here for this event, and wanted to thank you for your contribution to the ISV Connect marketplace and the ability to tell our stories. We really appreciate you making this happen for us.
Yeah, my pleasure. So as we start out, Henry, the first thing, of course, is maybe describe your role as leading the organization OneWorldSIS as CEO and president. And then one of my favorite questions just to start the conversation, and it allows everyone around the world potentially watching this live or replay to get to know you, as in what's one thing not in your LinkedIn profile that you're open to sharing to the world publicly?
Okay, well, my role at OneWorldSIS is to really lead what I consider to be the global vision for the company. This would include the marketplaces that we would target, the working with the clients on the requirements. Also includes finding global partners as we expand our offerings across the globe and work with the individual countries. My other main role is what I call a people person, a chief people person, and growing the staff, allowing each individual to advance in their professional journeys, increase their skill sets, and to really look out for the customer's best interest in all of our day-to-day dealings. As far as something that's not listed on my LinkedIn profile, I like to play the piano. It's something that I've done since I was younger. I did the required parental lessons for a number of years, kind of gave it up until my late 20s, and then started playing again. And I try to find at least one time during the day to play. Taste generally runs for contemporary music, anything back 3 or 4 decades. I occasionally sit down and play some classical. It's a bit of a challenge, but I do love playing, and I always look forward to a new piano book, even though my collection continues to grow. So that's a little bit of something about myself that's not on my profile.
I love it, Henry. I'm probably not as good as you because I also play piano as well. I didn't mention that in our pre-show, but it's great you already said, hey, what do you typically play? And it sounds like contemporary, but maybe my one question I'll ask you is, do you prefer a upright, or do you prefer a baby grand or a grand piano?
I have a C. I have a C2. I have a baby grand. I do prefer it. My mother was a piano director at local church. She also played the organ, but I do like a sit down. Yes, a baby grand. I've always had one for a number of years.
I love it. Yeah.
How about yourself?
Oh, I actually have an electronic piano, one of those Yamahas that you can move things around and make it sound like it's all these different types of things. I've always wanted to have a big grand, but we just never made the investment yet, and we haven't got passed down. Haven't got it passed down by anybody, so
we'll have to play the dueling piano sometime.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, usually I try, especially during the holiday season. I record myself playing some holiday music occasionally, and try to not embarrass myself while sharing it to the world. So
that was one of the big things back in the Stampede days. Was they always had a dueling piano night that
absolutely
Great Plains sponsored. It was always kind of neat.
Yeah, and your comment to that, and we'll get to that because I think the history. I think people appreciate that, Henry, is like the long-standing partnership you've had with Microsoft and the engagement you've had throughout the years. Before we get to the next question, let me do a quick shout out. So Terry, thank you for watching from Germany. I know it's later in your evening or late afternoon, so thank you for taking the time to watch from Germany. And then Tim, all the way from Hong Kong, thank you so much for making the time. It's great to have someone all the way on the other side. So we have representation on the eastern side and the western side. So thanks for making the time, Tim, for listening and joining in this conversation. So Henry, why don't you talk about, for those people watching who've never heard of OneWorldSIS, what are the capabilities that your organization drives with Microsoft? And I kind of alluded to the education side. So give us a sense for what is the business outcomes that OneWorld helps to address, particularly in the education space.
Well, we've been a Microsoft partner for a long time. I was one of the original Microsoft Great Plains partners back in 1982, so I have a long association with Microsoft as an organization. So when they released the original versions of this Dynamics platform back in 2004, it looked like it had a lot of developmental capabilities that were well suited for what we believe to be an enterprise level student system. It was really architected around the individual contact. In many cases, an individual never changes. It's really the roles that they play in the educational life cycle with an institution. One of the other foundational pieces was the ability to have it natively track activities. So we started working with the earlier versions of the system. Microsoft continued to grow the enterprise development capabilities. And we had an opportunity to meet with one of the local colleges at one of the large public institutions in the state of Virginia, and who had the same vision we did of building a student system on this platform. They had a lot of silo systems. They had a lot of data residing in different areas. So we built the foundational pieces for OneWorld. At the same time, we found some early adopters. We were one of the first products on the Pinpoint. If you remember back in the day, that was the original marketplace.
Absolutely.
And we found some early adopters globally who continued to work with us as we build out the foundation for the solution, and continue to grow from there. The challenges that we see in the educational space now are really ones of inefficient systems. And so there are a lot of solutions out there. A lot of institutions are running products and programs that are literally decades old. And so they're finding inefficiencies in the existing systems. It's hard to upgrade those products and generally, they do not include the ability to have and utilize some of the very leading technology available in the marketplace, in the market today. Workflows, the ability to use artificial intelligence. So we're finding that we're making a real big impact in the global education market by increasing efficiencies. So as Microsoft continued to build out the platform, one of the biggest benefits of this program, this foundation, is the ability to build industry solutions that are in essence future-proof. So as we had our early adopters, some of those have continued to work with the system through the years, and as the system continues to get upgraded, it does not impact any of those changes. So those were the experiences and challenges that we have found in the educational market that we're solving with the Microsoft Power Platform. So as we've continued to build out enterprise features in the system, as we've replaced other legacy or older custom systems, we've been able to increase efficiencies by utilizing the workflows, the artificial intelligence that's now in the platform, the ability to invoke the other tools that are inside of that same world. So that's the challenges we're seeing in the industry today.
I love it, Henry. Gosh, what an amazing journey. And when we get to kind of like the history that you've had, before we get there, maybe describe a little bit too, because when you think about education, first thing, of course, people think about is higher ed. They think, oh, there's all these colleges and universities around the world that are driving this value or wanting to drive this better outcome for students. But you not only do that for higher education, but in our conversations leading up to this, you also do this for K through 12. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the differences between what you've seen on both sides. Because of course I have kids. I look older, or I look younger than I look. I'm actually a little bit older, but my kids aren't yet in college. They're still in middle school and high school. But when you think about the subtle differences, what are the differences that you've seen between kind of higher education and K through 12, and like to your point, efficiencies and using AI, et cetera?
Well, to date, we've been able to do a number of organizations that have both higher ed and K-12. A number of institutions are taking individuals all the way from kindergarten all the way through to high school and then to higher education. So we've had very good success in the ability to help those at even the K-12 level, where you have an ability for parents to log on. The scheduling of classes is a little bit different. You're looking at usually full days. In the higher ed, you're looking at individual classes during the day. So the system translates from an operational standpoint. It works very well in K-12 and in the higher ed. We have a number of just K-12 alones. We have a recent one that we're doing in Africa right now that is a private education institution. So they both markets, both organizational entities have really the same challenges. In this case, it's a very older K-12 system that has not really been upgraded for a number of years. It's very hard to work with. What we're finding in a lot of institutions, be it K-12, multi-entity organizations, or just higher ed, is it is really the power of the platform. I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's really what is driving a lot of the interest and global demand, and in the US. So organizations are seeing the benefit of that platform in other areas and then deciding that a student system built on the same platform helps out with the whole end-to-end. So in the case of this private academy in Africa, they're wanting to switch to Business Central. In some of the cases with the university we have in Latin America, they wanted to replace a custom ERP system with Dynamics Finance and Operations, and they wanted a student system that would work within that. So we're finding it's both the challenge that institutions are having with finding productive software, and at the same time, there are institutions out there that are wanting to buy it based on the platform alone.
I love it. It's really good to hear those subtle differences, but also hear the commonalities of having this single platform, and everything you mentioned up front is future-proofing it, having the ability to have it scale. leverage a lot of the innovation technology with AI to do that. And I would probably say, hopefully you would also say it's also leveraging the ability to tie that into productivity. So tools like Teams or Outlook, simple things like that allow someone to be productive. So this takes us to the next question. And you alluded to the fact of probably dating you and myself when we hear about Stampede, and people who know about that probably recognize that name back in the day with Great Plains. But tell us a little bit, Henry, like the journey, like when you referenced like, hey, you got exposed to this, a customer had potentially kind of said, hey, this seems like the place that we need to kind of build our a solution on that can add value. Maybe expand on that for a few minutes on what's that journey been like for OneWorldSIS? Because back in the day, since it's matured way back when till now, you can imagine a lot of the innovation that Microsoft has had with now what we call Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform has evolved tremendously. We release at a minimum twice a year. So what's that ecosystem experience been like for you as you've taken this journey on with Microsoft?
Well, we had a lot of experience working with universities prior to the release of new Dynamics. We'd set up one of the first SQL systems at Randolph-Macon Women's College for the Dynamics on the ERP side. So when we saw this platform come out, it looked to be, I would say, able to have a new paradigm, again, related to the contact. Most systems are very record-oriented. In this one, it is records-oriented around the individual. And again, as we continue to expand the features and functions, we continue to have other organizations that we found, and we continue to grow the feature set. About 2 or 3 years ago, Microsoft really started to build out the enterprise capabilities, the scalability. As you talked about, the artificial intelligence, you could show up one morning and you've got 100 new features. You've got another series of other applications that can be invoked. And so Teams is a big example that is driving a lot of the what I call the useful productivity capabilities. You can go in and surface anything in OneWorld inside of Teams. You can work with it entirely inside Teams. So as Microsoft continued to enhance this, the clients, the educational institutions are able to take advantage of this. In essence, Microsoft is spending a significant amount on the platform and, in essence, spreading that cost around millions of customers. So as we've continued to build out the system, now we're able to take advantage of numerous new features. Now we have an ability to go in with views, and this was just added recently. You have an ability to open it up in Power BI and actually build a Power BI report. At the same time, you're looking at your view. Those features weren't there a year ago. 3 years ago, there wasn't any artificial intelligence under the hood. So we've been able to take advantage of all that. Everything you add to our system can take advantage of these platform tools. So we've got what we think is a really compelling technical advantage at this stage, and it's really driven the productivity at our clients.
I love it, Henry. And I'm going to do a quick lead in. So when we finish the dialogue, we have about a 4-minute video that really drives into the comprehensive solution that OneWorldSIS does drive on top of the Microsoft platform. And we truly appreciate how you've embraced what we've been doing to really maximize what that outcome and value could be to an education institution and scenario. So one of my questions I love to ask all my guest speakers is, what are some of the examples? So you've talked about this journey, you've talked about where you OneWorldSIS have added value. Maybe you can talk about some of your favorite examples. I mean, you referenced like how you've had that experience and it started that journey. Maybe you can talk about some of the most recent conversations and your experience when you've seen a customer deploy or institution deploy the solution. What has those kind of examples been like from what they were using, legacy, maybe not very scalable or doesn't really provide the outcomes they want for their students? Maybe you can share in the next few minutes, share a little bit about those journeys with those customers.
Well, I'll bring up a couple of examples. We had a career college here in the US with 3 different locations. They were running Salesforce and a custom SIS system. and found themselves unable to really scale, increase the amount of students, the amount of applicants, the amount of admissions. So we put in OneWorldSIS and our portal solution. They've been in production for over a year now and have been greatly able to increase their productivity, the amount of transactional activities that go through the system, all the way to the point of being able to put a student into a cohort, put it into a certificate program, already creates a degree plan, and automatically puts them into the class sessions. We had an institution in Southeast Asia that needed it to be localized. We could be in 44 languages, which is a big advantage globally. This institution was a university that was running Business Central, needed it to run in the localized language. So we were able to work with our local partner and put in a localized version of the system that they see and work inside of their native language. We had an institution in Latin America that had been running an old legacy system, 15 different subsystems, different integrations. And in that case, their product was probably 25, 30 years old, running on an Oracle database. So we were able to take that. They also wanted to put in all of the rest of the Microsoft pieces from Dynamics Finance and Operations and HR. So the productivity gains they're getting out of that are immense compared to what looks like clearly older interfaces that are not productive to work with. So we've had great successes. One of our international organizations was able to, Microsoft did a case study on them. They were able to increase their ability to handle applicant admissions and students by 4-fold, and without increasing any of their FTEs. So the system is proving to be very productive, which is driving the benefit to the clients.
Yeah, what a vast array of great examples, Henry. And I think you touched upon as well is that value across the Microsoft ecosystem. Not only can you provide that value with our larger kind of enterprise value with Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, well, you also touched upon Business Central. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Business Central is also a great solution within the Dynamics portfolio, but also more tailored to not necessarily smaller, but giving that flexibility for a customer to make a choice as to, hey, what is the better Dynamics system to potentially put and run their business on? So that's a great dialogue. So with the 8 minutes we have left, because I do want to make sure that there is time in people's calendars to watch the full video that your team prepared that I'll showcase at the end. So maybe what we can do, Henry, is just talk about like what are next steps. So people who are listening to this either live or maybe come across the replay, and they're either Microsoft sellers listening to this and they sell to EDU, maybe they're other partners out there that might deploy in the EDU space, or maybe by chance we have buyers who are in EDU today listening to this. What would you say are ways that they can learn more and take next steps in the dialogue?
Well, we have a large number of global partners. We just announced Alithia. They're a large North American, US, Canadian, all the way to Ballast Technologies to Vietnam. We continue to grow our partner channel where we find the right Microsoft partners with the right skill sets. We've been able to work with a lot of institutions. I gave a presentation to a university in the Philippines last night. So we're able to do a lot of things from this office here. We have a global staff, and at the same time, we are growing our partner channel to be able to facilitate working with different organizations in their same time zone and potentially to localize as we need to. So it's always possible to reach out to us on our website or through LinkedIn, and always available to talk shop, basically.
I love it. And that's such a good call out, because we are doing this on the LinkedIn platform. So I wouldn't hesitate to reach out to Henry or I. If you found this valuable, let us know. You can actually reference that in the personalized connection request. I'm going to flash up a site here. If people want to take a screenshot of this or write it down for later repurpose, this goes to OneWorldSIS listing in AppSource. So all this amazing value and scenarios that Henry described actually, you can go either to their website or you can go to the actual AppSource listing and see many of these specific details. So as we wrap up, Henry, before we get to the, I play the video, any last comments or words you'd like to love to share with the people listening?
Well, Brian, not much I can add to it. I do appreciate the time today. And if there's anything that any institution, anything that we can answer, any questions, please feel free to reach out. Our whole goal is to make our educational institutions more efficient and help them reduce cost.
I love it, Henry. And what you do, again, when we think about how we continue to evolve in the world, education is so important. And so when we take all these students growing throughout their journey from kindergarten all the way to higher education, I love hearing these amazing stories that are like what OneWorldSIS is doing to help these institutions drive that value. So as we wrap up, everyone, I encourage you to watch past shows that we've done. So if you just want to go to aka.ms/ISV Connect Live, that is a compilation of not just what the show we just did with Henry, but all the many shows that we've done in the past. If you want to follow ISV Connect Live, that hashtag, anything we talk about is tagged with that. But I truly want to thank you, Henry, and OneWorldSIS for the long-standing partnership, the value you bring to the ecosystem in higher education or just education in general. And I hope everyone enjoys the holiday season. And let me now play this great overview video that OneWorld has shared with us. Thanks again, Henry. And thanks again, everyone, for taking the time. Take care.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Whether you're with a higher, executive, or continuing education organization, you know that the life cycle of a student, including recruitment, enrollment, class scheduling, degree management, alumni conversion, and more, is an operational challenge that is increasingly more difficult to manage in today's world. The need to get more out of less while delivering a better user experience and real-time actionable information is not a luxury, but a necessity to thrive and grow. Now there is a solution that answers that challenge. OneWorldSIS. Based on the leading-edge technology built into the Microsoft Dynamics CRM XRM platform, with integration to LMS solutions, ERP, Microsoft Office, and more, OneWorldSIS provides you with a process-oriented, extendable platform that works on any operating system or device. With easy-to-use graphical interfaces, you can track student lifecycle activities forever while receiving true, actionable intelligence at your fingertips. Let's take a look inside. As mentioned, all of the data within OneWorldSIS is presented through customizable dashboards that allow you to see your data in a graphical environment. You can then easily analyze your data and drill down into it whenever needed. You can build as many dashboards as you like so that you can actively work real-time with your data to identify strengths and weaknesses in all operational areas. With these dashboards, you can set key metrics such as retention and prevention to immediately show any problems, such as if a student's grades fall below a predefined threshold. This can then trigger a series of background follow-up activities that occur automatically. Let's now look at the typical student life cycle and how OneWorldSIS can help you. Marketing and recruitment is often the starting point for most students. From a single screen, you can manage and track all of your marketing, recruitment outreach efforts, and admissions processes. You can then execute communications, start a dialogue with interactive forms that ensure all users follow standard practices, and even admit prospective students with information that is updated automatically. For prospective students, you can easily establish connections and track interactions from inside Microsoft Outlook or entirely through a web browser. As accepted applicants are moved to students, all of the data entered during outreach and recruitment will stay with the new student profile and be available forever. As students are admitted and enrolled, OneWorldSIS allows you to enter and track all activities, including registration information, degree program requirements, classes, grades, attendance, billing, documents, and more. Faculty can even create, enter, and track attendance and class grades. Once a student has graduated, OneWorldSIS allows you to easily maintain continued relationships by creating alumnus records automatically. You can enter and track relevant demographics, placements, and employment history. The OneWorldSIS portal is cloud-based, multilingual, and highly modifiable. The suite runs across all interfaces and devices and is able to handle the full range of operational requirements for all constituents, including prospective students, application management, faculty, staff, and alumnus. Enrolled students can interact with their records. Faculty can easily enter attendance and grades or view class information. And alumni can update their records, continue their education, find job opportunities, and more. OneWorldSIS also provides a full suite of school operational modules, including equipment tracking, loan management, libraries, update notices, and donor management. That is lifetime relationship management with OneWorldSIS.